Here are just a few actions you should be aware of that's happened over the last week to undermine democracy and the rule of law in the US. On the 4th of May, the US military said it had hit another drug trafficking boat in the Caribbean, killing 2 people on board. And then the very next day, the military said it had struck another boat in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, killing 3 people. So that brings the death toll to at least 190 people since September 2025. And this is part of the US's campaign against those it alleges are engaged in drug smuggling. It hasn't ever really produced any evidence of this, and it's really not clear whether these kind of extrajudicial killings are legal, and in fact they're probably not. A new analysis by the Associated Press shows that the Trump administration is increasingly ignoring the US courts. So the review found that district court judges ruled that the administration was violating an order in at least 31 lawsuits over a whole wide range of issues, and that furthermore there were 250 instances of non-compliance that judges have recently highlighted in individual immigration cases. And then in Fulton County, Georgia, they're trying to fend off a subpoena from a federal prosecutor who's trying to get contact information for thousands of poll workers who worked during the 2020 election. So that subpoena, issued in April, demands that Fulton County provide the rosters of election staff who served in that election, including their identification by name, position, residential and email address, and personal phone number. So this is a clear kind of intimidation tactic to future poll workers, and it's a severe violation of privacy of the people who worked at the 2020 election. Talking about voting more generally, we are still in the midst of these kind of redistricting, gerrymandering battles. So the Supreme Court weakened the Voting Rights Act last week, which really opened up the possibility of more gerrymandering in southern states to redraw black majority districts, because they also happen to be Democrat voting majority districts. Republican Governor Bill Lee called Tennessee lawmakers into a special legislative session to consider a plan that could break up the state's single Democratic-held US House district, which centers on the majority black city of Memphis. So that move comes after direct pressure from Trump to do this kind of redistricting. This measure was then passed, and 2 days later, Governor Lee signed it into law. In Alabama, Republican lawmakers have also advanced legislation to change congressional maps ahead of the midterms. So what Alabama did is it's asked the federal court to allow it to return to 2023 congressional maps, previously deemed to be an illegal racial gerrymander. So they're thinking now, actually, can we get away with this previously deemed illegal racial gerrymander? Virginia voters, meanwhile, had supported a measure to redistrict Virginia to support Democrats and give Democrats more seats in the midterms. And that would have balanced out the additional seats that Florida's just got from its redistricting. The Virginia Supreme Court overturned the Democrats' subsequent redistricting measure. So that now means that the Republicans have a clear lead in the gerrymandering efforts over the last year.